All right, so let's carry on with this. And I'm joined now by researcher for the organisation Judges Matter, Mbekezeli Benjamin. Mbekezeli, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to ask you, did the President choose the right person for the job?
Good evening, Sally, and good evening to the viewers at home. Well, it's tricky to say that it's the right decision, but it was a surprising decision, no doubt. As Heidi said, Justice Zondo only has 2 years remaining on the Constitutional Court before he has to retire. So one would have maybe been reluctant for that reason to appoint him. But Justice Zondo is a relatively safe pair of hands. He's been on and acting in the position for almost a year now, so he's quite familiar with the job, and he wouldn't need to be learning the ropes afresh. There's also the, I suppose, continuity of it, that he comes and to carry on the work that he has already started. We know that in October last year, he chaired the Judicial Service Commission interviews, and he did a relatively good job. And so we imagine that coming up, with the interviews coming up in April, he would do a similarly good job.
It's interesting, the fact that he's got less than 2 years that he will serve as Chief Justice, because, of course, all justices have a 12-year limit at the Constitutional Court. Mandisa Maya, who is going to be nominated as deputy, just in terms of that process, the presidency saying that she will be nominated, is that then automatically she becomes deputy? Is there some process that has to be followed? How does that work?
So the President has nominated Justice Maya as Deputy Chief Justice. So what would happen now is that she has to go for interviews. So she will come before the Judicial Service Commission, and they will ask her questions relating to the role of Deputy Chief Justice. And thereafter, the President will confirm that appointment after those interviews. So it's not a sort of a done deal as yet.
Yes, but there will be no one else being present and interviewed for that position, will there?
No, there will not be anyone else. The President has nominated one person, which is different from the previous, the Chief Justice position, where he nominated 4 people.
All right, so let's say she's got a very good chance of becoming our next Deputy Chief Justice. And it's an interesting one because she will have a full 12 years, and it seems fairly likely that she will be made our Deputy Chief Justice. You know, and as you say, Raymond Zondo's got 2 years, but those 2 years, if indeed Mandisa Maya, as many people believe, has absolutely got what it takes to be our next Chief Justice after Raymond Zondo, this probably would be the most excellent platform for her to learn the ropes. Would you agree?
Yes, I think in terms of continuity, it's a good decision to have her as Deputy Chief Justice initially, and then later maybe take over as Chief Justice. But I don't think she has many ropes to learn. As you know, in terms of her record, she's been the head of the Supreme Court of Appeal, which is a busy, a complex, and a difficult court to manage, and she's done well. She's also acted on the Constitutional Court, so she's familiar with how that court operates. So she brings that wealth of experience that she'll be able to just move within this new position as Deputy Chief Justice.
Yeah, fair point. She has got a lot of experience in other courts and has acted at the Constitutional Court. Focusing on Raymond Zondo with less than 2 years, what is likely to be his biggest challenge? Do you think it could be potential fallout from the State Capture Commission, which we already know? For example, Gwede Mantashe wants to take it on review. It's likely to go through the courts. Do you think that's going to probably take up the bulk of his time over the next 2 years?
Well, I think that's an important question to ask, and it's a question that was asked during his interview at the Judicial Service Commission, whether the issues that relate to the State Capture Commission will come around and now go to the courts. We already know that the Minister of Mineral Resources, Gwede Mantashe, has indicated that he will take the State Capture report on review in the courts. So that is something that will definitely come up on Justice Zondo's table. But the more urgent task is to reform the Judicial Service Commission. The interviews are happening in about 3 weeks' time, and we know that the Judicial Service Commission has not done well in the last while. So we need someone who will step in and fix some of the problems that relate to that commission. And I think that's his most urgent task.
It's already clear that Chief Justice Raymond Zondo's detractors are already complaining about the fact that he is being appointed. Do you think it matters that he has those detractors, or do you think it's inevitable that someone who reaches this level of the judiciary is going to have enemies?
Well, someone at this level of the judiciary will inevitably have enemies or will have detractors at the very least. But I think the issue, though, with this unique circumstance is that in the past couple of years, we've had attacks against the judiciary. Many of them have been politicized, many of them are baseless, and many of them have been trying to undermine the reputation and integrity of the judiciary. So those kinds of attacks will sort of intensify now that they'll be using some of what has come out of the State Capture Commission. So that is the only sort of drawback that comes with Justice Zondo. But again, we've seen that he's worked well under pressure in the last couple of years, and I'm sure that he will handle those attacks as and when they come.
Yeah, it has been intense, the State Capture Commission process. Thank you so much, Judges Matter researcher Mbekezeli Benjamin there.